thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today. I'm with CEO.CA speaking to Paycore, and today I have with me Christina McCarthy and Jim Gowans. Christina, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Christina McCarthy, President and CEO of Paycore Minerals. The ticker is CORE, C-O-R-E, on the Venture Exchange. We've just been public since this past April, so sort of still pretty fresh out the gate here. By background, I'm a geologist. Been with the company now for a while we were negotiating the definitive agreement to acquire this project. It's located in Nevada and right in Eureka, and with all the existing infrastructure in place, and it's tied on right next to I-80's Ruby Hill project as well. So a big district here in terms of CRD deposits, carbon replacement deposits.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Christina. And Jim, great to have you on the call as well.
Yeah, I'm Jim Gowans. I'm chairman of Paycore. I've been involved in the mining industry for a long time, over 40 years. Process and mining engineer by trade, and been involved in starting up and operating companies.
So, well, again, thank you both for being with us today. I'm wondering if perhaps Christina, if you could start by giving us an update on your operations at Paycore, and in particular your deposit that you're working on.
Yes, the FAD deposit is, as I said, it's located in Nevada, and we are currently working on delineating and drilling the existing resource, which is there. There's a historic non-43-101 resource of 3.5 million tons at around just over 5.1 grams gold, almost 200 grams silver, and over 13% lead zinc. And we're currently working around this historic resource that we've acquired. And we think that near term, if we continue to drill around in this near resource and do a few step outs, that we can almost triple the size of this. That's only, I would say, more conservatively near term. We announced a hole back in September of 12.5 meters of 22% zinc and 45 meters of 6% zinc. And I think that we can continue to drill around these areas, and we've already proven that lateral continuity of this deposit. That was a 200-meter step out in that hole I just mentioned. And so we're going to focus on that, continue to drill those zones and step outs, and hope to define a resource here. And in addition to that, we've since acquired a lot of data that has, in just the past few weeks, that looks like we can potentially extend this, and the lateral offsets that expand that in the host rock beneath this deposit. It's largely untested. It's only been a couple holes that were drilled in the 50s and 60s down there, and so we're pretty excited to be able to test the lateral continuity of this deposit, and as well the down dip extensions on below the deposit.
It sounds like there's a lot of interesting developments in the works there, and I know there was some news today about an adjacent property at I-80 and converting current processing plant to base metal flotation. I'm wondering if Jim, if you want to speak to how that impacts Paycore.
Well, I think it impacts, it's a very positive impact on Paycore, because right now, as we start to develop our project, we have very, very similar ore, which means that all you'd have to do is truck our ore from our property over to I-80's process plant, and we'd be able to process it. The processing plant that makes the lead and zinc concentrates, or they call it lead silver. It's got high silver values in their lead concentrate. Would be very similar to what we would have. So I think that's very exciting news, because it means that the capital required for developing Paycore's would be very small if we could process it at adjacent or property like I-80. Christina, do you want to comment on that?
Yeah, it's very interesting, because when we look at this district, this is a world-class CRD district, and it's been mined for over 100 years. And when you look at the deposits that all sort of trend along these faults. The fault structures are very important in this district for being able to test these type of deposits. And one of the more exciting things that have come up more recently is the discovery that I-80 made. It's called Hilltop along the Jackson Fault. Historically, the miners, the exploration geologists that have all worked on this project have all focused on the footwall and have never really focused on the hanging wall until now. And so there's a whole other stratigraphy that has not been tested that we're now going to test. And we know that it's along the same exact fault structure that I-80 has next door, where they just made their discovery. So that's going to be exciting for us because it's whole new territory, opens up a whole new exploration zone. And they have about 1.5 kilometers of that strike length from the Archimedes pit right to our border. And then that fault extends another 3 kilometers on Paycore's border. And we still have to test that whole area, so that for us is pretty exciting. And, you know, when we talk about CRDs, the exciting part of them is that, you know, so carbon replacement deposits, that's a CRD. They typically have base metals. Because of where this deposit is located in Nevada, right next to a big Carlin deposit, we're getting a sort of secondary mineralized event or an overprint, this alteration, a Carlin alteration that's bringing in gold. So because of that gold influence, it's going to give us a higher grade influence on the deposit, or an extra credit, if you will, on the deposit during the processing, the processing plant. So, you know, I think that it's pretty exciting to see these grades. It's great to have Jim involved, because Jim, you know, worked on one of the best CRD deposits, in the best CRD systems in the world, with Arizona Mining and the Taylor deposit that sold to South 32 for 1.65 billion. So it's great to see that, you know, Jim's involvement in this company and be able to see and, you know, look at some of the similarities in the high grade concentrations we're seeing at FAD, and sort of compare those concentrations, high grade concentrations, to what Jim had over at Arizona Mining. So that's pretty exciting for Paycore, because we still have a lot to do here. And again, we've only just started trading in April, and this project hasn't been drilled before Paycore's drilled it in over 50, 60 years.
I just think with I-80 starting to look at having a base metals concentrator to process their portion of the CRD deposits on their property, really bodes well for us, who's just I call it down the fault line from us, and it would save both organizations a lot of capital in terms of processing out of one process facility. It's pretty exciting news, actually.